common mistakes new researchers make, and how to avoid them. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something that almost every student and beginner researcher struggles with: common mistakes in doing research, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. If you're just getting started in research and feel a little lost, don't worry. That's completely normal. Research can feel overwhelming at first, but once you understand the basics and know what to avoid, it becomes much more manageable and even exciting. Let's get started. Mistake 1. Starting without a clear research question. This is probably the most common mistake of all. Many students start collecting data or reading books without really knowing what they're looking for. It's like going to the supermarket without a shopping list. You end up wasting time and money. For example, let's say you're interested in education. You say, "I want to research about online learning." That's too vague. What about online learning? Are you interested in its effectiveness, its challenges, its impact on students' mental health? Instead, a better research question would be, how does online learning affect the academic performance of senior high school students in rural areas of Indonesia? That question is clear, focused, and it gives your research a direction. How to avoid this mistake? Before doing anything else, write down your main research question. It should be specific, answerable, and connected to a problem or gap you want to explore. Mistake 2. Choosing a topic that is too broad or too narrow. A common trap for new researchers is choosing a topic that's either too general or too specific. For example, if you choose education in Indonesia, that's too broad. You could write 20 books on that and still not finish. But if your topic is the influence of a single YouTube video on a grade 11 student's writing skill, it might be too narrow and hard to support with data. How to avoid this mistake? Find a balance. You can narrow a broad topic by focusing on a specific group, like university students, a location, such as Jakarta, a time frame, like during the COVID-19 pandemic, a specific variable, like motivation or test scores. Example topic: an analysis of how motivational videos on YouTube affect the study habits of Indonesian university students during the COVID-19 pandemic. This topic is still interesting, but not too overwhelming or too thin. Mistake 3. Skipping the literature review. Some students think they can just jump into research without reading what others have done before. That's like trying to build a house without looking at any blueprints or examples. The literature review helps you understand what's already been studied, what gaps still exist, and how your research can contribute something new. For example, let's say you want to research students' anxiety when speaking English. If you skip the literature review, you won't know that this topic has been widely studied, and you might repeat someone else's work without adding anything new. How to avoid this mistake? Start reading early. Use Google Scholar, JSTOR, or your university's digital library. Look for recent journal articles, theses, or conference papers. Take notes, summarize key findings, and always record the source for citation later. Mistake 4. Poor time management. Have you ever waited until the deadline is just 1 week away before you even start? Many students do that, and they end up staying up all night, rushing their work, and submitting something they're not proud of. Research is not a one-night job. It takes planning, reading, writing, and revising. How to avoid this mistake? Break your research into stages like this. 1. Choosing a topic. 2. Writing your proposal. 3. Conducting your literature review. 4. Collecting data. 5. Analyzing data. 6. Writing each chapter. 7. Final editing. Create a calendar with deadlines for each stage. Even if you don't meet every single date, having a plan helps you stay focused. Mistake 5. Not understanding the research methodology. Some students collect data just because their seniors did it that way, without knowing why. They use questionnaires or interviews without understanding if that's really the best method for their research question. For example, Let's say your question is, what are students' personal experiences of learning English through Tuk Tuk? If you hand out a multiple-choice questionnaire, you're missing the point. You need rich, personal stories, so qualitative methods like interviews or open-ended surveys would be more appropriate. On the other hand, if your question is, what percentage of students believe that Tuk Tuk improves their English vocabulary? Then yes, a quantitative method like a questionnaire makes sense. How to avoid this mistake? Learn the basics. Quantitative research includes numbers, statistics, surveys. Qualitative research includes words, meaning, experiences, interviews. Maqsad methods includes a combination of both. Choose your method based on the type of data you need to answer your question, not based on what others have done. Mistake 6. Copy-pasting without citing, plagiarism. Plagiarism is using someone else's work without giving credit. It can lead to failing your course or worse, academic suspension. Example, you find a great paragraph in a journal and paste it into your chapter without quotation marks or a citation. That's plagiarism. Even if you change a few words, but don't cite the source, it's still plagiarism. How to avoid this mistake? Always paraphrase in your own words. Use quotation marks if you copy directly. Include the author's name and the year of publication. Use referencing tools like Mandala, Zutera, or Google Docs, citation feature. And use Grammarly or Tunaton to check your work. Mistake 7. Ignoring or taking feedback personally. When your advisor or reviewer gives you feedback, it's not to hurt you, it's to help you improve. Some students ignore feedback because it's hard to accept criticism. Others get defensive or feel embarrassed. But remember, even published researchers go through peer review and revision. How to avoid this mistake? Read the comments calmly. Ask questions if something is unclear. Muck a checklist of revisions. Don't delay, fix the issues while they're still fresh. Think of feedback as free coaching. It helps you grow. Mistake 8. Ignoring research ethics. Research is not just about gathering data. It's also about doing it responsibly. Example of unethical research. You secretly record students during a discussion and use that data without asking for their permission. That's a violation of privacy. How to avoid this mistake? Always ask for informed consent before interviews or surveys. Be honest about how the data will be used. Cup participants, identities confidential. Nuvke make up data just to meet your deadline. Remember, good research is not only smart, it's also ethical. Mistake 9. Trying to do everything alone. Many students struggle in silence. They feel afraid to ask questions or think they should figure everything out on their own. That often leads to frustration and burnout. How to avoid this mistake? Ask your supervisor or advisor for guidance. Join a study group or research community. Watch educational videos, like this one. Post questions in academic forums or on LinkedIn. Simply ask in the comments below. I'm here to help. Research doesn't have to be a lonely journey. Conclusion. So, let's review the common mistakes. 1. No clear research question. 2. Topic too broad or too narrow. 3. Skipping the literature review. 4. Poor time management. 5. Weak understanding of methodology. 6. Copy-pasting without citing. 7. Ignoring or reacting badly to feedback. 8. Forgetting research ethics. 9. Doing everything alone. Now that you know these, you can avoid them and become a smarter, stronger researcher. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and share it with your classmates. And don't forget to subscribe because next, we're going to talk about how to write a strong research proposal, step by step. Thanks for watching, and happy researching.